The global smartphone market is struggling. According to IDC, mobile phone tracker shipments are expected to fall by 4.7% year over year during 2023, the lowest volume in a decade. But as shipments fall, Apple's share of the market creeps up, expected to hit its highest level in the global market share ever of 19.9% this year. Still, Android operating systems and Samsung's phones, they're dominating on a global level. And when you think about 2023 and how critical of a moment this is for all of the smartphone market, but especially for a company in Apple, is this make or break?
Our data is showing how, because of the declining market and ongoing success of Apple, it continues to dominate at least the premium market. And this year will be the year where it reaches, its peak share of 20% annually, which hasn't happened before.
David, let's talk about the foldable, shall we? Obviously, Samsung has put a lot of resources into this, betting that it is going to gain share because not that many people have foldable phones of the overall total. Is that the right strategy to take, and is that going to help it edge out Apple?
The difference in a device that's just otherwise just a black piece of glass. Having foldable in there makes perfect sense, and it's high price, so it's competing at the high end. It has to really at the moment. Some have tried to get that pricing down. I think Motorola, particularly, and some of the Chinese vendors, very difficult. So I can see why Samsung are doing that, but that's as you saw in the montage there, it's this 5th generation now, and it's still, our numbers show probably less than 2% of the overall smartphone market. So it's not really reached out as far and as wide as expected, actually. And Samsung, although leading, I think they've got 80+% of the foldable market, it's clearly not resonating as well with the higher end user, and perhaps as well, COVID probably didn't help because it's a very tactile experience. As probably as you found when you get to use one, it's you've got to go and use it and touch it and realize, well, why do I need one of these when I've got my other piece of glass? So I can see why they're going that way, because they want to differentiate their products at the higher end when they're competing with Apple, who don't have one of those devices at the moment. But it's it's a challenge, and those creating the screen, the hinge, the amount of design that goes into that hinge is unbelievable, and they're still quite thick. That's why I quite like the flip as more than the fold, actually. But anyway, so I think they're doing the right things by pushing foldables, but whether they need Apple in there to really start sparking that market, to really get it going, because I see many have tried, that remains to be seen.
Nabila, I want to ask you about why we're seeing Apple's market share creep up, right? This is according to IDC's numbers, one of the worst smartphone markets in decades. Is it just because they're playing in the premium segment? Is it that they're able to then push out and, I guess, attract customers who are more interested in that? Is it because of upgrade cycles? Is it the iPhone 15, or presumably what's to be the 15? What is the reason that Apple is kind of pulling away like this?
So you've hit on so many points there. So if you think about the whole smartphone market, right? Let's just go top down. The entire market has been in decline since 2017, really, with the exception of 2021. We've been in 6-7 consecutive years of decline. And while this is declining, the premium share has been going up. So let's look at pre-pandemic and post, right? Pre-pandemic premium phones, which we classify as $800 plus, have gone from 10% share of the market to 20% now for the first half of 23. And a lot of premium, to be precise, 71% of premium market is Apple. And that's, that shows you, perfect, the chart right there shows a trend that since 2019, Apple had only 63% share, and you can see Samsung was close to 30%. Samsung struggled with maintaining, and that's really been their effort the last 5 years or so, is to gain share with Apple in the premium segment. And that's, as you can see, their share dipped as low as 15%, and that's right about when they dropped the Note. But in the last couple of years, they have quickly recouped 7 points of that share, reaching about 22% now. So it's really neck to neck. I think 5 years ago you would say there was another third player viable, but now it's really an Apple and Samsung market. And this is your pain point because that's where the dollars are, right? Premium devices, 800 above.